Hi there. I have a story that I want to share with you. You can consider this a confession because it's not a story that I'm very proud of, but it's a story that I learned a lot from. It's from a time when I was pretty new to teaching. I was teaching in the classroom, 5 classes a semester. I had 2 small children at home, and every day took everything out of me. I remember that I was teaching multiple new preps, rushing my little ones to and from daycare who had a lot of anxiety and were crying a lot, and trying to deal with all of the work associated with my job and hold it together in front of my students. And it was the start of the class. And I remember I was up at the front of the class, a lot like the class you see behind me, actually. And I was shuffling through some papers, getting ready to get started with the lecture. And a student stood up from her seat and she walked up to me very politely and in a really friendly voice said, "Oh, hi, did you get my email?" And I honestly said, I'm not sure. And she said, "Oh, it was about the test that we had in the last class. I wasn't able to make it, so I couldn't take the test." And she was very polite and very lighthearted. And I said very clearly that we have a policy about exams in this class, and that if there was a problem with taking a test, she was expected to come to me in advance. And I also said something about my communication policy that's in the syllabus. Student turned around, went back to her desk. I went on with class and taught it. And I remember driving home and feeling horrible and thinking about that student that night. And so the next morning when I got to campus, I remember logging into our learning management system and looking up her name. I was going to send her an email. And by that time, she had already dropped the class. And I never heard from her again. And I have learned so much from that because I recognize that dropping that class could have affected that student in multiple ways. It's probably certainly not the only time that my actions resulted in a student, walking away. And I'm also very aware that I didn't take the time to sit down and listen to what that student's situation was. I immediately just went to my policies. I didn't listen. I didn't try to see things through her eyes. And so I think a lot about that. I've learned a lot about that. And I hope that all of us can try to think about times that, we've screwed up and how we can grow as educators to be more empathetic and understand what's going on in our students' lives, particularly when we're teaching online. And it can be so much more easy to just let all that go.